This is how much USD is remaining until the safety pool is complete and RevDiz can kick back up all over again. I've only been looking at this data since I believe it's the 23rd of June, because that is the exact day where the last 500 ETH was taken from the IMX wallet, put onto mainnet, okay? It's just that simple. That's why I'm taking it from this point. But right now, the safety pool only needs about $1 million more dollars. I say only, but $1 million is a lot of money. It needs $1 million more dollars until it will be complete. Now, I'm going to go through a bunch of other charts here and show you some of the details as to how well Illuvium Beyond is doing and how much revenue is actually coming in to try and support that $1 million and how many days might be remaining until the safety pool is complete. Now, it's worth keeping in mind that there are so many other factors here, and this is a really basic look at the on-chain data, historical reference to the past the past 2 months or so, and then we'll keep looking at it into the future. On that note, there hasn't been much revenue generation since before July or August or whenever Wave 2 started, because between Wave 1 and Wave 2, there was very little revenue coming in. But with Wave 2, you can see it really kicked off and the revenue started filling up that safety pool. Basically, the lower this thing gets, when it gets to 0, the safety pool is filled. So you can see right here, I think it's August 14 or 15 or whatever, you can see that the revenue started trickling in. And as we continue this trajectory, eventually we do fill the safety pool. Now, there's lots of other things to consider, like the start of the sale is obviously a lot heavier, but the end of the sale is also pretty solid. And there are some other marketing activations that are yet to happen. So there's a lot of different data points here. The next thing we can look at is the USD as it's coming in. Now, what I've done, let me just fix that. So what I've done with this is basically how much USD is entering the safety pool over time. But what I've done is I've actually extrapolated the USD value of Ethereum at any given point in time. Now, even though there's no money leaving the safety pool, this will actually decrease because if the price of ETH drops, then so will the amount of USD that is in the safety pool. Now, this is really important because the threshold is set to a USD limit. So even if we get to 5,000 Ethereum, right? If the Ethereum price drops too much before it hits those thresholds and it goes into the mainnet wallet and gets transferred to USDC or whatever else, then that is going to impact kind of how this entire safety pool works. So that's worth keeping a mental note of. So you can see this USD over time, but it's mostly up in a pretty consistent arc. And since August, we've gone from zero, practically zero, up to about 450K. So some really, really solid progress. And really, this only needs to be 1.5 mil until the safety pool's filled. So like we saw a minute ago, only 1 mil to go. And it looks like a pretty strong arc so far. So let's just put it that way. The next thing we're going to look at is the cumulative ETH and just kind of how this ETH total is actually trending. And it's trending very, very consistently. This one doesn't go down because ETH is only added to the safety pool, but you can see that it's reached about the 250 ETH mark after under a month of the Wave 2 sale commencing. But that curve is basically indicating that the revenue is slowing down over time. Now, it's still going up and it's still pretty consistent, but it is slowing down over time. If we were getting the same amount of revenue every single day, it would be a straight line. Let's just put it that way. So the next thing we'll look at is cumulative of SILV2. I think this one will be quite interesting. So you can see how much SILV2 is entering the wallet. And I don't know why I have a bunch all of a sudden. Maybe someone dropped a stack on something. I have no idea what that's doing there. But you can see that this, if we ignore that clear outlier there, there's probably something to do with the way I'm calculating or whatever. You can see this curve here is I'm going to move my thing around for a sec, is way more flat than the Ethereum one, which means that thankfully as a part of Wave 2, we wouldn't have seen this in Wave 1. As a part of Wave 2, the SILV2 is pretty much out of the system now. It's pretty much been completely burnt out of the system. And so there is not much left, and that is helping us get more Ethereum revenue generation to add on to the safety pool, of course. So the last one I've got for you is actually the potential days remaining. Now, this is the most speculative of them all, but it's an interesting one we can take a look at. So, how should I put this? All I have done is I have extrapolated. How do I word this well? I've basically taken a 10-day rolling average of the amount of revenue that is being generated by the DAO and put into the safety pool. And then I've extrapolated that out into the future. And what this is essentially telling us is that any of these given points based on that 10-day rolling average. So if you got 10 days and you earn $10,000 every day, then it would be expecting that you earn $10,000 every day into the future as well. So as we're generating less revenue over time, the amount of days into the future until the RevDeers pool is filled is going to go higher and higher. Now, this is obviously not the be all and end all. We'll have things like Wave 3 starting that will impact this, the end of the Wave 2 sale, secondary sales maybe picking up, land sales picking up as the betas and things start for Illuvium 0. There are lots of factors that will heavily impact this. This is a very rudimentary look at it, but it's looking like it hovers in between 100 and 200 at some point, and you can see that it's slowing down at the top here, which means it might stay pretty consistent around the 150 to 200 mark, meaning 200 more days until the RevDeers pool is maybe filled. But obviously, open beta is expected to come out before that 200 days threshold. So I think what this data is telling me, if I had to be honest with you, is that it looks like the safety pool might not completely fill up until the open beta launches. Now, if the open beta is delayed, then it will probably fill up from Illuvium beyond sales and things like that. Or if something else happens in the market that means people want to spend a lot on Illuvium, you never know. Obviously with PvP, maybe more eyes, more buyers, whatever it might be. But there's a lot of other factors to consider. But the 150 to 200 day mark seems pretty interesting, but I'm more kind of betting on the open beta launching and that generating whatever revenue people are willing to pay. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. Have a good one.